Um, does everyone have their agenda in front of them?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to do a roll call of our Board of Registration members. Thank you for attending our meeting and agreeing to be part of this very important process. Mary Shrubin.
Here.
Judith Nowers.
Here.
David Scott.
Here.
Ann Cron.
I'm here.
And Mr. Ed Brown.
Here.
All right, all present and accounted for. So we have a quorum. So our first action item is the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve from someone on the board?
This is
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
All right, so
I
Dan, how about will you second?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so Mary, do you approve the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone object, I guess? That might be faster. To approving the minutes. Okay, seeing no objection, the approval of the agenda is approved. Okay, so the first item on our list of action items is to elect a chair of the Board of Registration. Do I hear any nominations for chair? Don't do it all at once.
This is Dan Crone. If nobody else wants to, I'm willing to do it.
Wonderful. So Dan is self-nominating. Are there any other nominations? All right. So do I have a motion to approve Dan as the chair?
I make a motion to approve Dan as the chair.
Okay. Does anyone want to second that?
I second it.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? No? Okay. Congrats, Dan. You are the chair.
Thank you.
Next action item, and I'm going to hand this over to the chair, is to nominate a vice chair.
Are there any nominations for vice chair? Is there anyone who's willing to do it?
I'll be vice chair.
Sounds like Ed's willing.
Okay.
So can we have a nomination?
Can we consider that to be a self-nomination?
Sure.
Okay. Is there a second then?
Sure, I second that nomination.
So then let's see. All those who are in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. So the motion is carried.
Great. Yay.
So
All right. So,
I never got an agenda, so I don't know what's next.
all right. I will coach you. So the next item is, it's a possible action item, and it is to review of the list of eligible voters as required by the NMSA 1978 1-4-28. That's a possible action item. And then G is approval of future meeting schedule and then adjournment. So it sounds like we should review and then choose another date to meet and then end this meeting.
Has everyone had the chance to review?
Yes.
I've looked it over
Yes.
pretty carefully.
Okay. Is there anybody who hasn't had a chance to review the materials? It sounds like they have. So So, what would be the next step here?
Well, what is the will of the committee?
Are we supposed? Is this something we would then approve? The list?
This is a question for Christella. Christella, if they are all in agreement, can they approve that this is the final and total list for the purge process, or do they need to discuss it, or do they have to set a new date and then purge for the next time?
Madam Clerk, Mr. Chair, I believe that there isn't a specific action item on this agenda that allows for direction to the county clerk regarding cancellation. So that would have to have been part of the agenda item. I think the contemplation of possible action on review of the list was just to provide direction back to staff regarding any questions that the board had regarding the list. So I think that's broad enough for that kind of action, but not broad enough for action regarding direction of cancellation.
Okay, does anyone have any questions they want to ask?
Yes, this is Mary. I have some questions.
Wonderful. Go right ahead, Mary.
Oh, my first question is, do we know the date that the United States Postal Service produced their National Change of Address Registry that the Secretary of State and the counties have used to match against?
Is there anyone on staff who can answer that?
I think Teresa's looking that up right now.
While we're on that, I've got a question regarding the party designations. For instance, DEM is obviously Democrat. DTS, I am assuming, would be declined to state.
Yes.
NMI, I would assume, is New Mexico Independent. And then I see another one, which is INM. I'm guessing that would be Independent New Mexico. I don't know. I'm not sure why it's one is NMI and the other is INM. I think the rest of them are pretty easy to identify, but I was just wondering about those particular ones. Oh,
There's also one that's CON.
Yeah, CON, and there's one that's BFA. I don't know what that means.
So I think CON is Conservative Party.
Oh, okay.
There are a lot of minor parties in New Mexico. The question is INM and I need to look up their official name.
Right now, unfortunately, our database is not working,
Yeah.
so I can't look up those, but I could get you those meanings on the next meeting.
Okay, that'd be fine. Yeah, I was just curious. Thank you.
And Mary, what was your question about the post office?
The date that the post office created the National Registry. Do we know that, or is that not known?
Christella, I don't know that date. Do you?
I don't know that date, Teresa.
We'll research that.
Could you ask the Secretary of State's office if they have that information for our next meeting, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions then that anyone else has?
Real quickly, I wasn't clear on who exactly, what was the exact name of the person we elected to vice chair?
Oh, it was Edward Brown.
Thanks, I just wanted to make a note of that.
Okay.
Stay hydrated, go rest, and stay hydrated.
Anyone else have any questions about the process or the list? We want to make sure, we get all your questions answered before we set a next meeting date.
Yes, this is
Okay,
Mary. I have another
I do
question.
have one.
Who goes first? You can go.
Mary went first.
Okay. My second question is, just briefly explain the process that your staff do throughout the years and months before this match has taken place, especially regarding where the sources of information come from. Thank you.
So you mean, I think I need more clarity on the scope of that question. So are you asking about?
In the past, I know that you have received lists from the Bureau of Records for deaths, and that you match against Motor Vehicle Division records, and I'm wondering if you have ever used assessor county records and for properties that are demolished, and just other things like that. So if you could go through what your staff, briefly, you don't have to do every detail of every day, but briefly, I know they do a lot of work all year round, and I'm thankful for that, and I just wanted to be sure that all the members of the board are apprised of that.
Okay. So, I can give you a very brief summary, and then if you have more detailed questions, we should ask Teresa, who is very familiar. But we have a database, an electronic database known as Service that's run by the Secretary of State. And we also, for every voter that is in our file, we have a hard copy voter registration file. But we get voter registrations from a variety of sources. We either get the federal national form that's sent to us. We get sort of New Mexico designated forms that get sent to our county office. Those are paper forms. We also get automatic or sort of part of the process of registering a vehicle from the Motor Vehicles Division. They come through to Service, and we process those and produce a voter registration card. We also get something through the online voter portal. A lot of people know that as nmvote.org. That's run by the Secretary of State. That's where voter registrations come through. And we also get death notices from Vital Statistics, and that's where we cancel voter registrations. Voters themselves can also cancel their registration by sending us a form. And then we also get cancellation notification from when someone is convicted of a felony and they are taken out of the voter file. So there's a variety of ways in which we daily maintain our voter file. Does that answer? Is that enough detail?
Yes, I just wanted to be sure that you include the correspondence you get from other states for people who have registered in another state where they want to cancel ours. I know we do that for other states. Do you get many of those?
So there are 33 states that participate in something called ERIC, which is kind of a national agreement that has essentially flows through our service to notify us that someone has moved. Not every state participates. So sometimes voters from those states have to send us a cancellation themselves, but many do not. And so that's part of what often the voters that you see in this list that we have produced for cancellation are people who have in fact moved out of states and moved to states where they do not participate in the sort of national clearinghouse and agreement of ERIC.
Okay, thanks.
Hopefully that was helpful. David, I think you had some questions.
No, I think you guys have answered my questions pretty good. We're going to wait till the next meeting to find out what some of these designations, these voter designations are.
Yes.
But there was somebody else who was trying to chime in at the same time.
Well, I apologize. I thought it was you, David.
No, it was
No
Ed.
worries.
Hi, Ed. What was your question?
Okay, can we do a dump on PO boxes that are used to register for voting?
So do you mean, okay, so here's the question. Do you mean register as a mailing address, register as a voter address, or do you mean the sort of PO box? So
Okay,
part of our process of voter registration in our
okay.
office is that we do not allow people to
But-
register to vote as an address at a,
Okay,
as a sort of commercial PO box address. We reject those voter
okay.
registrations.
So
and
you
try to contact
answered my question, but I'm going back a while. At Cuba, they've had thousands, literally, of people registered with PO boxes and not a physical address because they lived out in the country and they didn't, write the direction. And that was supposed to have been cleared up. I don't know whether it was ever done, but you've cleared up the problem here.
Yes. So in Sandoval, because I have actually canvassed in Cuba myself as a volunteer, knocking on doors. So the Secretary of State does have a lot of addresses that do say third house from the old church in Cuba, because some of those addresses do not have actual street addresses. But they are allowed to vote because that's a traditional homestead, and so they tend to vote with PO boxes. And that's something that the Secretary of State is working on, trying to assign rural addresses, especially new addresses, working with the Postal Service. But that is a process, to be sure.
So we don't have that issue. You've cleaned that up. Thank you.
We have been working on cleaning that up. Yes, I'm certain there are some addresses that are unusual addresses from the 1960s, for instance.
Yeah.
But most of those folks, because we went through this whole period of everyone got sent an absentee ballot application, right? Just the application, not the ballot, but the application. A lot of that mail that got returned to us, we were able to utilize that information to figure out that that was a bad mailing address and figure out how to get them a correct mailing address.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We have to accept a wide range of types of voter registration or residences in New Mexico because of the very rural nature of many of our counties. So.
Since I live out in the country, I understand.
Yes, yes. Any other questions?
Yes, I have one. This is Mary.
Hi, Mary.
The date that's on the top of our list, February 19th of 21,
Yes.
is that the date the match was made or the date the postcards were sent out?
So the postcards, I believe, were sent out actually last fall. Teresa, can you correct me on that?
So the confirmation mailings were sent out by the Secretary of State's office in August of 2018.
Okay.
So that list that you're looking at, the date of 2/19, that's the date that I printed the list of eligible cancellation voters.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
So these are folks who got a postcard, did not respond, have not voted for 2 elections. You know what I mean? Like there's this whole opportunities for us to be able to touch them, and we have not gotten a ping back, essentially.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Other questions? So we are proposing a date, if it pleases the chair, for March 11th, because we need to have voted and completed and approved the list and sent it to the Secretary of State by the 15th. And we thought the 11th would give us enough time to process the list, pull the registrations, and send that to the Secretary of State by the 15th. So if everyone's okay with it, we're proposing the same day of the week, Thursday, 10:30 a.m. for March 11th. And the chair can.
Okay, so let's see. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. On March 11th at 10:30, is that date okay for everybody? That date and time?
Now, unless we happen to have about a foot of snow up on the ski hill.
Got a skier here.
All things are possible.
I doubt it, though. It's been a really crappy year all around.
So let's see, is there a motion then to have the next meeting on March 11th at 10:30?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second it.
To meet at March 11th at 10:30.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to have our next meeting March 11th at 10:30. Is there any discussion? Okay, none appearing.
No.
Then all those in favor of having the next meeting on March 11th at 10:30, please say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion is carried unanimously, and the next meeting will be on March 11th at 10:30. Is there any further business? Okay.
None from the clerk's office.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
The clerk's office.
like
We
to
will
move
provide
to-
the information and make sure you have it for the next meeting. And I think that was it for us.
Okay,
I'd like to move
great.
to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. The motion is carried unanimously, and the meeting is hereby adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Okay, thank
Bye.
you.
Enjoy the beautiful weather.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to everybody for participating.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Ciao.